Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mama Knows Best series, where I will be featuring mamas who know best that will uncover, illuminate, and share various ways to simplify and elevate the mom life. The motif or the thread that is laced through the various topics that will range from productivity to creativity is identifying and honing in on the magic in the mess. Motherhood is fucking messy. It is also fucking magical. Not always in equal measure, but quality, not quantity, right? One way to augment the magic is to embrace the messy. And finding the magic in the mess will ground you and illuminate you. It is both commonplace and transcendent. The mom life juggle is real. The nap time hustle is real. When you're doing all the things, you need some clarity, some inspiration, some encouragement, and some motherfucking support. This is to mother you, mama. So let's go ahead and dive in and get messy and find some magic. Today, I am thrilled to have with me Julianna. Julianna is a mindset and beliefs coach, which is a huge thing that encompasses so much. There are so many beliefs that come into play, that we encounter and that we imbibe, that shape how we live our lives and how our children live their lives. And so how do we ensure that we install the best software, if you will, in our kids' minds and in our own minds? And so this is an area that Julianna specializes in, and I am so thrilled to have her share her wisdom and her insight with us. So welcome, Julianna.
Oh, thank you, Dana. Hi, nice to see you again.
And yeah, it's been many, many years.
Oh yeah, it's been.
And it's so interesting just the way life sort of.
Yeah, we went to the same school this year for B school and stuff. All the things just came together.
Lots of fortuitous connections.
Yeah.
So my first question to you, Julianna, is I'd like you to talk a little bit about what you do and how you came to do what you do. I find that infinitely fascinating in how, stories about how people came to do what they're doing, it's kind of like asking people how they met, right? Like how do all come together and shape what it is that you are so passionate about doing and teaching and sharing now?
Well, how I came to this was through becoming a mother. I was a woman who actually never wanted to have kids. So it was not my thing that, oh my God, I'm going to have 2, 1, 3 kids, like a lot of women are dreaming about, I'm going to become a mother and that's going to happen. And for me, it was never something that I really wanted to do. And, but I was always into personal growth and spirituality and everything. And I got pregnant and I just went with it. That's it. With my husband, we decided that's it. We're gonna go with having a child, and of course he was born. His name is Vincent, and kind of this interest of spirituality and personal growth got accelerated. Through him, it was a huge boost that I don't think I could have experienced if I would be just, I wouldn't have him. So, but in the beginning of the motherhood, I was not really the best mom. Let's just put it that way. I was the kind that was losing a temper and screaming and get annoyed and this and that. So I had to realize that something has to change. So I started to read books and more books and a lot of books on parenting and all those things. And what made me the most frustrated is that I knew a lot of tricks and techniques. You should do this, you should behave this way. This is what you do when your child is throwing a tantrum or whatever was the technique. But I find myself, I couldn't implement them in the right time when I needed them. And then I became even more frustrated and beat myself up because I should know this. I've read like 15, 20 books and listened to podcasts and went to some, I even signed up for some courses, parenting courses, but I couldn't just do it. So obviously I was the obstacle in this whole thing. My beliefs, what a good mother should be and how should I behave with all of my knowledge. So it took many, many years until it boiled down to beliefs, which is I saw how my behavior created beliefs in my son, and a lot of beliefs I was not even aware of that I'm doing, like a lot of people are not. So I had a lot of areas in my life where I had okay or good beliefs, but a lot of areas where I had like really like limiting ones. And I was just, if we are not watching for it, or we are not conscious or about it, then we just pass it on, like straight to our kids, about money, about relationships, about self-esteem, about life, school, friendships, anything. So it's like, I just realized that if I give him the right tools from the beginning, then he will have, doesn't matter what I do, because if he has a strong self-esteem, if he understands others and himself, then even if I lose my temper, it will not hurt him because he understands it. So I could be the most Zen mother in the world, but he will meet with other people who are not.
Right.
So the best thing I can do is to install the basic programming in his head that will help him to navigate those relationships and situations that will come at him. So I started out as a parenting coach with all the tricks and tips that I know. And then it boiled down to beliefs, because I think that's the biggest thing that we have to kind of work on. And I still work on a lot of them, especially about money and success. And I see courses like $2,000-$3,000 courses dealing with those beliefs for adults to get rid of the beliefs that you had in childhood. So I was like, okay, why don't we just start there? So we have to deal with less when they are adults. So that was kind of the long, short answer for your question.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we need to work on ourselves, because everything we do, we pass along to our children.
Yes.
Children are like, our children reflect everything that we do. And
exactly.
So the beliefs that we imbibe are the beliefs that are passed on to them. And so I think it is really important, really, really important work that you do, because we are shaping.
Yes, absolutely. And kids are reading us so much, like when they are little. It's not just when they're little, like 93% of our communication, even as adults, it's not the words that you're saying. It's body language, it's your tone, it's your facial expression, even your energy, the energy that you're giving that away. So the kids are watching that, and then they're kind of trying to get it, like, okay, now she's upset about money, and every time that money comes up as a subject, like, let's say just with money, because that's a big issue for a lot of people, but we could talk about technically anything. So and then the kids are watching, and they see our expressions, they see the energy that if we tighten up, or okay, we cannot buy this, we cannot buy that, and how we talk about money, or anything. And then they kind of create something that, okay, that's stressful to talk about money. So just little things. Of course, it's not from one event. It has to be many, many repetitive. But if you have the belief, your reactions are always the same to the same event. The check comes in, reaction is the same. Kids are watching, check is not a good thing to get. Things like that. So it's many, many repetitive events. And it's of course, it's not always just the mother. It's about, it can come from society, from teachers, from peers. But if the kid has a good base, the child has a good base that they can build upon, they most likely will stick with the supporting beliefs and build on that than, you know, letting the negative ones limit them later in life.
Right. I have a question for you that just came up.
Yeah.
When you first gave your introduction and you talked about how in your very early days of motherhood, those were challenging days, and you felt like
Yeah.
you were not a good mother. Looking back now, like, what would you say to yourself as, you know, as a new mom then? Like, what advice would you give to yourself, or would you be gentler with yourself? Because I think so often we feel like, oh, I am, you know, things are getting to me and I'm like losing it and I'm not good enough. And I feel compelled. I feel that happening to myself, and I feel compelled to tell myself and to tell other moms, like, it's okay, you know, like, we've all had moments that we've lost it, and like, just be more gentle with yourself. What are your thoughts around that? Like, you are.
Well, I still do it, so don't think that I'm not, like, I'm the perfect mother. And now I just had a very I wouldn't say mean mother, but a bad moment just yesterday. I had it with my son. He's 11 now, so he kind of knows things, but still, you know, he's still I still do the things, and I try to make it up, and I try to explain myself, but definitely to be nicer on. I thought this motherhood should be like natural. Like, okay, because I'm a woman, I should know how to do this. And I realized that I should have started earlier a little bit to really look into it, what's normal. Like, it's okay to be upset, or it's okay to be that you want to be just alone, and okay, today I just want to be alone, and I'm not really into this whole motherhood thing. And these are all normal. But I thought, if I'm really a good mother back then, it's supposed to be natural, and I would want to be with my kid all the time, and I'm really happy to do all the duties. And it was not true. Yeah. And I'm so happy for Facebook groups that, you know, they talk about those things, that it's okay that you feel like you had too much, that you are too many responsibilities, and things are going on for you, and you just, it's a normal emotion. You don't have to feel guilty about it. So this is really the community to talk about it. It's really helpful. Then I wish I would have that when I was I was younger, obviously, when my son was younger, to talk about the challenges, and not to believe that it's supposed to be all happy and natural, and like and, you know, it's always good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point, and that is that the idea of community and support, and how vital that is, as a mother, to be a part of that, to be a part of, you know, everyone says it takes a village, and I really believe that, like, we need that sense of support and community, and we need to know that whatever we're feeling is okay. Like, our emotions are valid, and I think we need to lean into those emotions and not repress them or suppress them, because the only way we're going to get beyond, you know, to the other side, is to move them. And I think that's a really valuable lesson for our children also, is right. I mean, that the whole idea of emotional literacy, I think, is something that is so important. And I think our children need to see us modeling that too. And so even if you do lose it, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Then you have this wonderful gift of an opportunity to apologize, and to teach your children that, you know, that, like, sometimes we lose it, and we're human, and we get to apologize, and we get to practice forgiveness. And, you know, there's always lessons. There's lessons in every facet of our emotional, you know, nuanced, complex emotional life.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I think one thing I'm hearing you say, and talking about how, you know, how important our beliefs are, is that I feel like our beliefs, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is sort of what I'm getting, is that our beliefs need to be strong enough, but also flexible and open and malleable enough. Is that?
Well, what happens is that beliefs are kind of running the show. Whatever you do, you have beliefs about it. Like, you have beliefs about anything, when like traffic, like just everyday simple things that you believe that, okay, weekday mornings are always busy. Those beliefs are running, and a lot of belief. We have beliefs about everything, technically, about the weather, how winter is in Canada, how winter is in Florida. You have all kinds of beliefs, which is fine and sometimes neutral or helpful. But for example, the belief that I worked on a lot is that speaking in front of people it's kind of dangerous. I know a lot of people struggle with this, but the Hungarian school system really installed this, because we have, I'm pretty sure it's still this way, but we have this kind of, you have to tell about what you know, but not in a written test, but spontaneously the teacher in the beginning of the class choose a few kids to, you have to stand up and answer 4 questions, whatever was the subject, and you get graded on it. So it's not like nothing. It has really weight on your grades. So you stand up, and if you are not performing so well, because if you freeze, obviously you won't remember anything, and if it's a stressful situation, and then everybody's looking at you, the teacher is trying to ask questions that kind of, it feels like sometimes they're trying to find out what you don't know instead of what you know. So these repetitive stressful situations are really put a mark on me to believe that speaking in front of people or speaking my mind, I always gonna freeze. I'm gonna freeze, and it's not safe for me. So these are, and I had to work a lot on that to get rid of it. So these are beliefs that's running, and I never have thought that this will paralyze me later in life. Like, this school situation, okay, done, school is over, I'm happy, okay, let's move on. And then it came back again once I started to coach. 25 years later, it's back again. I'm like, okay, so what do I do about it? I had to find out what's really going on. Why am I so terrified? And I still have the tendency to stutter or lose my train of thought, because it's kind of trying to surface, because the new belief that it's safe to do that, it's not as strong as the one that they instilled through many, many repetitive experiences. Right. So I still feel that the new ones are not as strong. So that's why technically you can never get rid of a belief. You can just have a new one and build it up stronger as an adult, to make it stronger than the adult and than the other one. So it's not going to go away. You just have a new one, but stronger. That's how you do it. You override it.
All right. So that's actually my next question is how do you rewrite your story? How do you rewrite your beliefs?
Oh. Hello.
Hi. Unexpected. I told them to keep their kids downstairs, but hey.
Oh, that's all right. I'm surprised my son didn't come to say hi. But how you write, that's technically, all you have to do is, first of all, if you know what's the issue, because you have to dig it deep. So it's like to find out exactly what it is. It's not that easy, because you are the problem and you are the solution. So it's like, sometimes that's why it's helpful if you have a coach or somebody to help you to see really
what makes the problem stronger or the solution stronger, right?
Or you cannot see the forest from the trees, because
right.
it's
to make the solution more prominent than the problem.
Yeah, exactly. So and then once you know what the real issue is, because I could have told myself over and over again that it's I'm not afraid to speak. I'm not afraid to speak. It's like I didn't really override the problem. Sometimes people say that, imagine that everybody's sitting there naked or whatever tricks I heard about public speaking to do that, but it's not really working because you're not dealing with the real problem. You try to just
mask it.
Mask it or put a temporary band-aid on it. But if you know the real ones, then you can understand that, okay, yeah, I remember I acted it this way, I felt this way, it was completely irrational. Looking back now as an adult, like, okay, that was not about me, it was about the teacher. Let's say if the kids were laughing at me while I was doing that was their own insecurity, and often they were happy that they were not called up to answer those questions. So they were like, it was a nervous laughing. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of things when I find it out, and then I could start to work to build up the strength with practice to overcome it. Mm-hmm. So that's like a daily, not a one-time thing. I mean, it could happen one time if you are in a big trauma or shock in the nervous system. That can happen overnight, but for most people it will not happen that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna.
That's all right.
Place her out the door, and I will be back in one moment.
Sure.
Sorry. My family.
Okay.
Like all day I've been telling them I have this one slot of
time, and well, that happens.
I'm gonna.
That's real.
To be malleable and be flexible and go with the flow. That's what we need to do, right?
Yes, right.
This is in living color. What are there any sort of bite-sized actionable steps that we can take to achieve sort of a stronger beliefs that will serve us better, or to rewrite the beliefs that are not serving us?
Well, what I like to do and advise mothers on to do, it's obviously you're not going to rewrite beliefs right away. So you have to kind of journal on it or write on it. I hated to journal, but it really works. Mm-hmm. I'm not the regular journaling type of girl at all. I'm not a regular at anything at all. So it's like I'm the laziest mom you will meet. But what I find is that the best thing you can do for your kids is to not label them at all. Mm-hmm. No positive or no negative labels, because labels are creating beliefs.
That is so true and so powerful. I mean, so often we'll say like, oh, that's the crazy child, or that's he's the smart.
Yeah. Or lazy, or you don't like this or you don't like that. So we put things on the kid that is, even positive ones, like if you say that you are so nice, or things like that, it's kind of limits the child, because what if you won't be nice anymore? So whatever situation when we are not behaving our best, mm-hmm. So when we say that you are always so nice, or you're always smart, or you just say generally smart, you're a smart kid, then it's kind of puts them in a way that, okay, a pressure that I always have to be smart and perform and be the kid who's like, the top. So it's like, with those labels, we see what the kids can see, what we value and what we don't like, really, with the negative ones. So avoiding labels can be very tricky, because, we have the tendency to do that automatically when mm-hmm. something happens, even out of frustration, or because we think that's the best way to do, and it doesn't leave them a room to either perform poorly, or which we all do. We all make mistakes, and sometimes we are not the best. Or if you say like you are lazy, how can you argue with that statement? Nothing really. Or you're messy, you never put your toys away. Like, okay, so what do I do with that statement? Nothing can be done. So it's like you can soften it, like saying that I feel like today you're lazy, or I see that today you don't do this or that. But it's not about the kid. It's about what you think and you feel. Mm-hmm. It's not about you are this or that. It's about how I see today, or how I feel today about what you're doing. So you put it back on you. Like, you're smart, you say, I really like it how you stick with this task, or you were so persistent with whatever the child was doing. I like that you were finishing what you were doing. I like that you sat down and did the math, for example, for school. And so you don't say that you are so smart you finish in 5 minutes, because, okay, what if I don't finish in 5 minutes? So that's a value. Now you put it, okay, I should finish fast and be smart all the time. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So it's always, you do observation, that what you think and you feel it's better than put it on you are this or that, either positive or negative way. And I think that's really helpful, because obviously if we repeat those labels, it becomes a belief.
Right.
Like, and people say, what can I do? I'm lazy, whatever, like they believe about themselves.
Yeah. That is so powerful. Thank you for sharing that. That is so super valuable and so powerful, because I think we sometimes do it without even, without meaning to.
Yeah. Even for ourselves, you say, I am such a mess or something. We tell it to ourselves. Yeah. And then, and that's not so helpful, because it beliefs. Nobody likes me, things like that. We create beliefs with our thoughts, and yeah.
Absolutely. And there is we are all so much more than than this or that.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's absolutely just labeling ourselves or other people is so limiting. Allow the growth, right?
Yes.
That's is completely opposed to what growth mindset is all about.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because I think that is so valuable.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah. So my next question is, we all know that the juggle of life and work and kids is just, it's craziness, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, what is something that eases or facilitates, what is something that you find that facilitates the juggle and gives you a little more equilibrium in your life when you're trying?
Well, I don't think there's such a thing as balance. Sometimes it's sometimes we overdo things, and then, so I don't really have a schedule unless I really have to have it. Mm-hmm. I used to be a really like a perfectionist, like I had to be like in a certain way, and I made lists, and I have so long lists, and I could never finish them. I could never crisscross all the things, and I'm trying to be more laid back. And he's impatient, huh? Yeah, he wants your attention.
She's telling me she has kaki. Kaki is poop in Hebrew.
Oh,
yes, kaki.
Oh, it's almost the same in Hungarian.
As soon as we're done, Sophie, okay?
Okay. Yeah. So balance is pretty much about, I think, to learn to go with the flow, which is very hard. It was hard for me, because I always had this thing that it has to be my way and this way and that way. And if I planned something, it had to go that way. And it was just not. And so as soon as I accepted it, it was a lot easier to deal with changes, because in business and with kids, things are so unpredictable. It's like, you can't plan, and then something happens. Those are the two areas which is like you can.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I think it is so valuable and so necessary to learn to go with the flow, to accept, and to just to kind of sink into the way things are. And pause and give yourself a fucking break.
Yeah, you're doing it good. I see your videos.
Balance doesn't have to, balance doesn't mean that everything is, that it's like the same amount of this, and
yes.
This, right? Balance, it can be like one day, like all of this, and then the other day, like a lot of this and a little of this. Like it could,
exactly, yeah.
It shifts, it's malleable and it's dynamic and it's flexible. I remember when I was doing my master's at NYU, and I had to write my thesis or whatever, and I was telling my aunt, like, I feel like I have no life. It's just like writing all day long, and I have no life. And she's like, well, that's okay, you know, because I was saying I feel so unbalanced, and she was like, well, balance. And she actually enlightened me with, you know, with that, and said, you know, balance isn't always just, you're not always going to be balanced in perfect balance every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna ebb and flow. So some days there's a lot of one thing, and some days there's a lot of another thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. What is, so my last question is, what is one of the most impacting lessons learned along your mompreneur journey?
Well, I think it's kind of related to the question before you ask. It's that you can make a lot of rules, but be flexible about it. Like, let's say you tell the kids that, you know, I did this when I started, also when I was a young mother, that, you know, you have to be at 7 o'clock bath, and then a story, and then, you know, routine is important, but, you know, you kind of have to be flexible with that. You make up rules, like now my son is older, and we make up rules of how many hours of screen he can have, or, you know, how much chocolate he can eat. But, you know, there are always exceptions. So we have to be flexible about the rules also. It's not written in stone, and life happens. And sometimes we eat fast food. And sometimes we allow him to watch more TV or be on the screen.
Yeah.
He wants to be in the video.
Yes, Mama. See. Another Hebrew word.
So yeah, so that's that. If you make rules, yes. So if you make up rules for the kids in any age, any kind of rules, those rules are not. Those are also changeable based on the situation and what happens in life and family. And then it's not written in stone that you have to follow. And before I felt like a bad mother if I didn't follow my rules, that I said, you know, you're gonna do this for my son. And I was frustrated if I couldn't follow through with the rules. Like I felt like, okay, I'm failing, I'm not good at rules, and all kinds of thoughts came to my mind. And I realized that it's okay. It's even if you have rules, be flexible about the rules, because it's good to have rules. It's okay for the kids, but some nights, you know, they can stay up late, and some days they can eat more cookies and watch more TV. And the same for me. It's okay some days to just watch TV all day if I feel like it.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, you love that.
He loves that too. Okay, good. You love the rules.
It's all about flexibility, right?
Yeah.
That is so true and so important, I think. And to just allow ourselves to change our minds, allow ourselves to, you know,
make exceptions if you have to, also to adjust for the day that ahead of you, not to be like every day, because I wrote it down that this will happen every day. You don't know what happens next week. You might have to adjust, maybe just for one day, maybe for a week, and then you can go back to schedule. Like my son has a totally different schedule right now because it's a summertime. So
yeah, this is so interesting, because I just read a quote this morning, and I'm like, and I'm totally going to butcher it because I always do, but it was something about the only thing, like the thing that will serve you the most in life is being adaptable to change.
Yeah,
that is the one thing. Not so
that's a hard lesson. I'm telling you, I keep repeating myself because it was a hard lesson, and it's still in progress. So some days I'm very flexible, and some days I'm getting frustrated. So it's like, it's in progress still.
We always are, right? And that's what we want to our children also, is that, like, we are a work in progress.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's never learning, and change doesn't end because you're an adult or when you're done with school. It just keeps going every day. It's just, you keep growing and learning, and that's okay.
Thank you so much, Julianna. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Last thing, I just want you to share with everyone where we can find you. Where can we learn?
Well, I have a Facebook group called Empowering Mothers, and I also have a website. It's my name, juliannakovacs.com.
Okay.
So those are the two places I'm the most active at currently.
Awesome. And awesome. I will like add all the links and everything when.
All right, thank you. It was a very nice conversation. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being so flexible about all of this.
Oh, sure. I'm used to it. I'm coaching mothers, and with the videos, it's everything can happen. So,
Right.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. And
Thank you. You too.
bye.
It's afternoon, not your place. Okay, bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye.